Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. We'll give each other a couple minutes to pop in here from the waiting room and would be great to see where everybody's coming from. So once you're in, if you could just type in real quickly what city you're zooming in from and joining us today from, that'd be really fun to see where everybody's coming in from today. Nice. Some Wisconsin people. Welcome, everyone, as we let everybody into the room here. We're hoping that people can just quickly, in the comment section or the chat section, just let us know where you are joining us from. Just give us your city and your state. Yes. Here to represent. Love all these different cities and states. We've got people from Kansas and Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, ooh, Arizona. We are jealous of your weather today.
Did it snow in Wisconsin again this week?
Yes, yesterday. So, yep, I have snow. It's mostly melted, but we do still have snow on the ground, and it was like in the 20s for the last 2 days. Happy spring.
Yeah.
All right. How are we looking here in the waiting room, Wendy? Anybody else sitting in the waiting room?
Nope, I think we're good. I think we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, excellent. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Up Level Wellness and our Breaking the Cycle, Become the Healthy, Empowered You webinar. What is Up Level Wellness? It's a community, a movement, and a celebration of our collective journey here, empowering health to ignite life. And we're so glad that you are here with us today. We're excited to share this transformative experience with you, and we understand your struggles. You've faced on your journey to connect with your healthy self, because we too have struggled with that as well. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tracy Kane. I'm into my 5th year coaching, and I've spent more than 20 years in this space where many of you are today. So today we're going to explore the limiting beliefs and habits that have kept you stuck. Wendy, if you want to advance the next slide. And today we're going to work together to identify the blocks that have prevented you from achieving your health goals, redefine your identity, and create a simple plan for lasting change. So something about this really resonated with you and your struggles, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be today, live with us or watching the recording later. This is a safe space for connection, growth, and empowerment, and we're honored you are here with us today. Next, I'm going to turn the time over to fellow coach Wendy Hushin.
Awesome. Well, like Tracy said, welcome everybody. We're very excited to have you here with us, whether on the recording or live. Like she said, something that we shared resonated with you, and chances are, maybe one of these things might resonate with you too. So, have you ever lost weight and gained it back? We've probably all been there. Have you ever started strong with a goal, but then lost steam when you hit a bump? Really easy to do. I was very guilty of that. Have you ever said to yourself, I know what to do, I just don't understand why I can't do it? Have you ever gave up on your goals when you didn't see results? Or have you ever failed to understand exactly what you were doing wrong? And this last one is really the thing that resonates with me the most. I definitely had all of those things, but the last one is definitely one for me. And I even said to my sister-in-law one time, and I just don't get it. I just don't understand what I'm doing that is so bad. And actually, I'm going to tell you a little funny story about my sister-in-law. Some of you who are on here, Mariah, know her, so you'll find this even extra humorous. But when I first moved to Wisconsin, we would go out with her and now her now husband, her brother-in-law, and I would say, I just don't understand. Why can't she just eat regular food? And so for those of you who live in Wisconsin know that sometimes regular food in Wisconsin is not the best thing, because sometimes the culture is not overly supportive of healthy eating and our goals. Stereotypes are funny because they're real. And let's be honest, we often eat, cheese curds. Like you said, Mariah, lots of beer, lots of fried things, lots of cheese curds. And then in the winter, you do more of that because there's nothing else to do. So we were out, and I would say, I just don't understand. Why can't she just eat regular food, being, like greasy burgers and fries and a side of cheese curds? And she would say, I just don't know what to eat here because I don't eat these things anymore. The other thing that she did that I never understood was she would get up super early every single day and she would exercise every single day. And she would also spend time journaling, in prayer, in devotion, quiet time. And then she really liked to take naps. And so then when she could, she would also take a nap in the afternoon. Again, I didn't get it. And I would say to Jake, I don't understand. Why can't she just sleep later? Why does she have to get up so early every day? Does she really have to exercise every single day? Is that really necessary? Well, those of you who know my sister-in-law, understand this is kind of funny. But for those of you that don't, let me show you a picture of what she looked like in 2020. This was her running. She's a very good athlete and she loves to exercise and run. She has a very healthy mindset. And one of the things that I very much appreciate about her now is that she is 100% authentic and true to who she is. She is not apologetic about that. And she knows who she is and what is important to her. And she, if somebody doesn't understand, that's okay. And the thing about all of those things that I was questioning at the time was, it was me not understanding. It was me. It was all about me. It had absolutely nothing to do with her, which I think is so awesome that she lives her life knowing what is important to her and she doesn't care what anybody else thinks. So this is what she looked like in 2020. And this is what I looked like in 2020. And we're not here to only talk about, our bodies and our physical weight and the number on a scale, because health is obviously a lot more than that. But clearly it's an indication that she had something figured out that I didn't. And, this was the point where I was when I said, I need help. I don't know what to do next. Someone please tell me what to do because I don't know how to do this myself. This was my before picture before I started our plan almost 5 years ago. And that was the point when I said, okay, enough is enough. I have to do something different. I started because I wanted to lose weight. But when I finally gave in and I finally started reading the books and working on the mindset, like my coaches kept asking me if I was doing, when I finally gave in, after I read the first chapter, which was a self-assessment, I ended in tears because I realized, oh boy, there's a whole lot more here that's going on that really doesn't have anything to do with what I'm eating. There's a whole lot more that's happening here that I need to work on that's way more important than just the food that I'm putting in my mouth. So for those of you who don't know me personally, I will just share, and again, this is not about only about the physical transformation, but unfortunately we can't show you a picture of the mental transformation. And that part's really been bigger than the physical part. But this is what I look like now. So no, I cannot run races with Casey because she will, run circles around me for hours and hours. But we can definitely work out together and definitely are more in line now as far as our priorities and eating and that sort of thing. So a lot of this presentation is really based on a concept that I learned from a coach that I've been working with over the last few months. And she is all about helping us understand our current identities and our desired identities and really how we view ourselves and what that means in terms of the way that we show up every day. And so this is a quote from my friend Lena, and she uses this example in her coaching program, but it really resonated with me, obviously, because of my own journey, but then also the journey that I go through with my clients. And what she said was, a person can lose weight, but they can't keep it off if they remain in the same identity as the person who gained it. And that was really a big eye-opening moment for me. I'll be honest, I've had clients who have done really, really well at losing weight, but then pulled away once they got there and didn't stay connected with our community and our coaching, and then eventually gained it all back. I didn't really understand how that was possible, But when Lena said this to me, I said, oh, okay, I get it now, because they were most likely more comfortable as that person who had gained the weight because that is what they knew. That's the person they understood versus the person who had lost the weight because that felt like a foreign body to them. And that I can very much understand. I'm like Tracy, 5 years into this. It probably took me about 2.5 or 3 years to really embrace the new body that I had that was 50 pounds smaller than the one that I had before. I would look in the mirror and I would be shocked at what I saw because I just didn't feel like it was me yet. And that's just the physical self. So if we think about this from, more of an emotional and a mental perspective, there's probably even more things that we have to get used to there that we can't see in the mirror. So I'm going to reference the book Atomic Habits quite a bit today. If you haven't read that, I definitely recommend it. It's a really great book that helps understand a lot of these mindsets, and it helps give you really practical tools for ways to create change in your life. So what is James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits? What he says is true behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason that you're going to stick to it is because it becomes part of your identity. It becomes part of who you are. Anyone can convince themselves to go to the gym a few times. A lot of people do on January 1st. But if you don't shift into becoming someone who goes to the gym on a regular basis, chances are you're probably not going to stick with it, and the improvements are only going to be temporary. So a little interaction here, share in the chat. What are some thoughts and habits that someone who struggles to make healthy choices? What are some things that, somebody who struggles with that might think about or might say, or Tracy, Michelle, any thoughts on that?
I know one is peer pressure. You're going out with friends, you're going somewhere to dinner. Peer pressure is big. Oh, let's share dessert. Let's have this. Let's have that. Sorry, I don't eat like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you want to fit in.
Somebody in the chat, thanks, Marcy, actually said, oh, I've had a hard day, so I deserve this ice cream or this glass of wine or whatever it is. We sort of lean into food as a treat to rewarding ourselves for all sorts of things, which I know is a habit that I think in America we just have in general. We celebrate everything with food. And yes, I live in Wisconsin, so then that's also, food with some fried cheese and a beer. So don't forget the beer to go along with all of that as well. Good days and bad days. Mariah shared it's all or nothing. I think that's another hard one for people is perfectionist tendencies. Instead of being okay just getting started and having progress, feeling like I can't get started until I can do it absolutely perfectly.
I like Marcy. One bad decision. You know what? I'm just going to roll it off. I'll start again on Monday. How many of us have said, oh, it was Friday, and you know what? Friday was just terrible. You know what? I'll just have the weekend. I'll start again on Monday. I'm raising my hand. I've done that many times in the past.
Yeah. Or like the whole day gets thrown away because of one decision. You're like, okay, that was useless. I do feel like
cake, I might as well have 2 or 3 or 4.
I already ruined the day. It doesn't matter anymore, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think we caught most of what examples I had here, but definitely, somebody that struggles with these things might turn to food when they're emotionally triggered. Sacrifice sleep for other comforts like TV, social media. We've all been there. You get stuck in front of the TV and you're exhausted, but you just can't even bring yourself to get up and go to bed. They should on themselves. I think that as women, especially, we're very guilty of this. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should do one more thing. I can't rest because I have to do one more thing. I know I should be going to the gym, but I just can't do it. It's a very negative, to Lisa's point there, negative self-talk. Diet in the dark without a support system. Most likely, this is going to be because you're pretty convinced that you're going to fail. So, what's the point of telling anybody about it? Because you're just going to fail at one more thing. All or nothing mentality, definitely talked about that. And cave into societal and peer pressure, like Michelle said. Unfortunately, we do not live in a very healthy society. It's not just Wisconsin, it's everywhere. But there's not a whole lot we can do about that. We're going to talk about some ways that we can do about that, but we definitely can set ourselves up for success, but then also realize that these things are going to come. And so we have to be prepared for that, because unfortunately the default is not necessarily the best thing for us. Which is what I think is something really interesting that James Clear says is, if you do not actively choose a better way, then society, culture, and the general inertia of life will push you into a worse way. The default is distraction, not improvement. And I don't know if I'd ever really thought about that before seeing this quote, but I think it's really true. And I think that it's true about a whole bunch of things. One of the things that I really struggle with is when I see other women, especially, kind of getting stuck in the rat race of, well, all these things are happening and I've got a million things going on with my kids. And so there's no possible way that I can eat healthy because I've got, this and this and this, and I have to do this and I have to do that and all these things. You don't have to do any of those things. And just because your neighbor's doing them, or just because your sister's doing them, or just because your kids' friends are doing them, doesn't mean that you have to also. But it's just what this is saying. If we just go with the flow of whatever culture is saying, and it's most likely going to push us into something that is not where we want to be. So we really have to make the decision that I want to do life differently. Okay, so let's be more positive. So what are some of the thoughts and habits that maybe a healthier mindseted person, not mindseted, I don't think that's a word, someone with a healthier mindset, they might have? What are some things that they might say to themselves, or habits they might have?
One of the things that I talk about with clients about is progress over perfection, because nobody has a perfect day or a perfect life, and life is constantly changing around us. So the goal is to be slightly better at something today than we were yesterday. So that constant state of improvement, and celebrating those improvements instead of focused in on the things that didn't work out during that day. Is one that I can share personally. It's hard to switch your mind over into thinking about that, but when you do, it's very empowering and uplifting to always be in a positive space in your day. Michelle, do you have some to share too?
Well, I was trying to think. So for me, it's the gym, and sometimes my habit is the gym, and I go, maybe I go 5 to 6 days a week. And you know, it, we're talking about the negative self-talk. And so for me, it's, girl, you got this. You can do it. You just, no, I don't want to go today. Yeah, you do. No, you might not, but trust me, you do. So you just change your verbiage. You take the negative out and put in a positive. And that's one of the things that works for me.
Lisa shared in the chat that she does tracking, which I also find very positive. I'm a list person, so I like being able to yep, I did that, either check it off or scratch it off. But also tracking, again, that sort of these habits that I'm working on. Yes, I did this today, I did this today. It's very rewarding to kind of see that tracking sheet get filled up with check marks. Ray shared consistency with exercise and routine behaviors, which is also a nice thing. Like Michelle shared, she goes to the gym almost every day of the week. So it just becomes part of the habitual behavior. It's not a decision you have to make over and over again. It's just sort of something like Wendy shared earlier. It's just something that you do every day. Even when you don't want to be there, you still just do it anyways. Like getting up and taking your kids to school. Mornings are rough, but you would never choose not to get up and take your kids to school and get them ready for the bus or whatever. It's just something that you do every day.
It says right, accountability is key. I mean, even if it's to yourself, I think you can make a deal with yourself. It's good to have a partner, but I'm a gym goer by myself. So I do have my backstory's a whole nother thing, but I go to the gym. I do have a trainer, and I track my workouts, but I go to the gym by myself. If I don't go, he doesn't know. My trainer doesn't know if I don't put my stuff in, but I've made a deal with myself. So even if it's just to yourself, we've, we got to be true to ourselves and make those time for ourselves and be accountable to me.
Yeah. So I love these examples, and it covers mostly what I had here. But somebody that maybe has a healthier mindset, they consider food as fuel, not comfort. I do believe there is a difference between I am choosing to have this treat for this reason, and okay, I'm going to have this cake because I feel miserable and I'm just going to stuff my face now. Those are two different things, and one is a choice, and the other one is, acting out of emotion. They prioritize sleep and have a good nighttime routine. They understand how unhealthy food makes them feel physically. And this is definitely something that I learned. And I think that I just kind of felt miserable all the time and had no idea that it was because I was eating things that made me feel miserable all the time, until I no longer did that. And then I realized, oh boy, I was eating a lot of things that really didn't make me feel good. I don't know why I did that. I'm going to stop doing that now. And yes, they might taste good, but if it makes you feel bad for 12 hours after that or something, you might say, oh yeah, probably wasn't worth that few seconds of satisfaction for something that tasted good. We talked a lot about movement, but I think just like Ray said, they prioritize movement in a way that fits within their life and then build on it a little bit as you go. When I reached my weight loss goal, I did not exercise at all during my weight loss journey. But then as soon as I got to my goal, that was my next priority. And all I could do at that point was, my goal was walk for 15 minutes 3 times a week. And that's what I did until that became easier. And then I started doing a little bit more and a little bit more. But I had to start with something that was manageable so that I could continue to do it. Because otherwise, if it was just too much, then I wouldn't stick with it. They find support systems. So just like, was mentioned, accountability is key. Unfortunately, a lot of people around us may or may not be on the same type of journey. And so you have to actively seek out to find a support system to help you with that, which I think is awesome. I'm so excited for those of you here who are here today, because you're raising your hand and saying, yep, I want to have that support system. I want that accountability. And I think that's great. We love to have you. So one more quick down, quick up. We're all going to make mistakes. Just like Tracy said, it's progress, not perfection. And when those mistakes happen, not if, but when, we just get right back up and we don't let it turn into another bad decision. We say, all right, the only thing I can do from here is not beat myself up and move on to the next thing and make a good decision next time so that I don't let it spiral out of control. And then last but not least, this sounds kind of silly, but it's true. They recognize that they can make healthy choices and still have friends. When I lost my weight, it was over the summer of 2020. And so literally I had a baby, and then 2 months later, I started this journey, and then I lost 50 pounds, and I did not see anyone during that entire time. And so then I emerged in September of 2020, and people are like, what just happened? Like, where did she go? And it was very uncomfortable for me. I was not ready to face that yet. And I was really like saying, well, now how am I supposed to act around these people? Because now all of a sudden I feel differently, and I wasn't quite prepared for that. And it took me a little while to realize, when we went out to dinner, it doesn't matter what I eat. Yes, they might make comments about it if you put yourself out there and you say, this is the way that I choose to live. But just like my thoughts about my sister-in-law, that is more about them and how they feel about the choices they're making than it is about you. They are really not judging you and the healthy meal that you are eating. They are judging themselves and the fact that they feel guilty for not having the willpower, motivation, whatever it is, to make that same choice. And what's really cool, and I'm sure Tracy and Michelle and some of you have experienced this, when you start to really lean into the lifestyle and the choices, and you start to become the people that bring the salad to the party, what's really fun is people will thank you for doing that, because they want permission to make good choices, and they want somebody else to be making those good choices with them. And they will ask you for the recipe. They will be so excited that somebody brought something good. So my husband and I now, basically it's like a new challenge for us. What's a fun, healthy dish that we can take, something different that people probably haven't tried, and then never fails that 3 or 4 people ask us for the recipe afterwards because they're just excited that somebody brought something that they're going to try differently. Okay, so yeah, great. We know what we want this to look like, but why is it so hard to change? And I think this is really interesting from Atomic Habits when he says we don't choose our earliest habits, we imitate them. We follow the script handed down to us by our friends, our family, our school, our community. Each of those groups comes with their own set of expectations and standards. And most likely, unless we have a big epiphany, we're just going to kind of follow along with whatever it is that everybody else does. So this is not to give us a free pass and just say, well, it's not my fault because everybody else made me this way. But I do think that it's important to recognize that we do have to make a conscious decision that we want to do something different than the norm, because chances are the norm is most likely not the best thing for us in this instance. So, okay, great. How do I reinvent myself as a healthy person? Well, this is a fun little exercise that I learned again from my friend Lena. And we're going to use ChatGPT because it's fun. And if you haven't used it yet, I highly recommend it. It can do all kinds of great things. But we're going to start by naming our current identity. And the first thing that we want to do is solicit some input from other people. So ask your friends, your family, your coworkers, your spouse, name 2 or 3 things that you would use to describe me currently. Put it out on social media. It's fun. I did this a few weeks ago. It was great to see what other people said about me. They all said really nice things, which was a really uplifting thing to see. Make that list and then make a list of your own things that you say about yourself. You know, maybe some of them might be a little bit more positive than others, but make your own list and make the list of it from other people. And you put all of that into ChatGPT and you say, okay, ChatGPT, please name this identity, name my current identity. So I did an example here based on what my clients often tell me when we first have our first initial conversation. And ChatGPT named her as overwhelmed Olivia. Olivia is a strong, caring woman who gives her all to her family and work. But when it comes to her own health, she feels stuck. She knows she should make better choices, but between busy days and exhaustion, she struggles to follow through. She starts new habits with the best intentions, but when slips up or doesn't see results fast enough, she quits. The cycle of yo-yo dieting have left her frustrated and drained. Deep down, she wants lasting change, but she doesn't know where to start or how to make it stick. Do any of those things resonate with any of us? They definitely did with me. And some of them definitely, on occasion might still. So the second one here is, okay, let's paint a picture of who we want to become. And let's get really creative, because if we're going to reinvent ourselves, we can reinvent ourselves into whoever it is that we want to be. So now's the time to get your journal out or do some typing. I can type faster than I can write, and just start, writing all the things that you want to be. Who would you love? What would you love your life to look like? What does the healthy version of you do each day? How does she respond to stress? What does she do when she gets home from work and she's exhausted? How does she prioritize movement? What does she order when she's out with friends? Get creative. Paint the picture of what you would love your life to look like, because the more detail you get into, then the better off this is going to be. Paint a better picture for you. Put that back into ChatGPT and ask it to name your new identity based on these desires. So now we want to become empowered Olivia. Empowered Olivia is a woman who takes control of her health with confidence and ease. She fuels her body with nourishing foods, not just for herself, but to set a positive example for her family. She moves daily because she wants to, knowing it gives her energy to be fully present with her loved ones. She feels comfortable and strong in her body, no longer second guessing herself when she gets dressed. When faced with temptations or peer pressure, she stands firm in her choices, knowing that she's building a lifestyle that aligns with her goals. At work and at home, she radiates confidence, balance, and strength. So make this version for yourself. Take a copy of it, take a picture of it, put it on your mirror, put it on your computer screen, put it on your phone, put it in your car, wherever it is that you have the most temptations. Put it somewhere where you can see it to be reminded of what it is that you want your life to look like. And then when you read that, you can feel like, okay, yes, that's the person I want to be. And that person, what kind of choice would she make in this situation? We forgot to mention at the beginning, hopefully you all received a copy of our little worksheet that we made for you. But if you printed that out, there are places in here to take some notes, so you can take some notes as you go back and reflect on what we talked about today. So, okay, great. We have the version of ourselves that we want to be, but then we have to really look at why is it that we want to create change. And we have to make sure that our desire for change is strong enough to overcome those struggles, because the struggles will come, and we have to make sure that our intrinsic motivation is strong enough to help us push through. So one of the things that we've learned through our program and we teach our clients is ask yourself why you want to create change, and then ask yourself why that's important 7 times in order to get to a reason that's deep enough and strong enough that's going to keep you going. So maybe your first reason is my jeans don't fit, and so I just have to lose some weight. Okay, well, why is that important? Because it's probably not really because you can't afford a pair of new jeans, but you may say, well, because I've never been bigger than this size, this is my breaking point, I want to do something different. Well, why is that important? Because I feel uncomfortable in my own skin and I just don't want to do this anymore. Well, why is that important? Because I know that it's affecting my confidence and I'm not showing up as my best self and I want to be able to do better. Well, why is that important? You get the idea. Keep asking yourself, why does that matter, until you get something that's a lot stronger than my jeans don't fit. Because my jeans don't fit is not going to get you through that time that you're out at the bar with all of your friends and they're ordering things that really aren't on your plan and they're having lots of drinks and you're going, okay, well, maybe I can just have one because it's not going to really hurt anything, right? So we got to have a reason that's stronger than that. And to the point of accountability, share that with somebody. So who are you going to share it with? Because when you make that a reality, when you share it with somebody else, it's going to become a lot more real than just keeping it in your own head. Now, we have to make sure to give ourselves grace, because especially as women, it's really easy to be hard on ourselves. And it's really easy to say, again, the all or nothing mentality, I messed up, so what difference does it make? But we have to remember that change isn't going to happen overnight. We've spent a lifetime practicing some of these habits that we had before. They're not going to change over one night. So we have to remember that it's going to take time to become the type of person who has these habits before they become second nature. So James Clear gives the example of, maybe the bad workout, maybe you didn't have a great workout, but it doesn't matter. Because if you go to the gym for 15 minutes on a regular basis, it may not improve your performance, but it reaffirms your identity. It's not always about what happens in the workout, but it's about becoming the type of person who doesn't miss that workout. And then find your people. We've talked a lot about this. We've talked a lot about the importance of community. We love that you guys are here and we love that you're part of our community, and we want to open you, with open arms to that community. But one of the most effective things that James Clear says you can do to build better habits is join a culture where your desired behavior is normal behavior. The example he gives here is of playing jazz music. I am not a jazz musician. I don't know a single person who's a jazz musician. So if I decided today that I wanted to become a jazz musician, that might feel kind of weird because I don't know anybody who does that. But if I went to a jazz club where everybody there loves jazz music and they play music, it would feel a lot more comfortable to be able to be there and feel like, oh yeah, I can do this. Look at all these other people that are doing it. So we may have to take ourselves out of our current environment and put ourselves into something that's new. In order to find our people who are going to support us in these goals. But they're definitely out there. And the amazing part about our community and our coaching community and the program we coach is it is full of people who want the best for each other and will support anybody who wants to improve their life and improve their self in this way. And it's not just a number on a scale. It's absolutely personal development, personal growth, and becoming the best version of themselves. Last but not least, we're going to start small. We're not going to overwhelm the system. We're going to start by picking 1 or 2 things, and we're not going to wait until it's all perfect, because every single one of us can come up with 7 excuses why this is not the right time to do something. But guess what? It's never going to be the right time. So we just have to start, and we have to find that accountability buddy who's going to remind us of what it is, that why we wanted to do something, so that when it becomes hard, we remember, okay, that's why I was doing that. So again, James Clear says, decide the type of person you want to be, and then prove it to yourself with small wins every single day until you really embody who that person is, until you become empowered Olivia. You just have to keep proving to yourself that you can become her. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll pass it back over to Tracy, but your current reality may not be 100% your fault. And again, we're not trying to pass the blame here. We're not trying to say, oh, it's my mom's fault. She taught me all of these bad things, and she's the reason that I have all these issues today. There may have been some influences that were not totally positive, but the reality is, okay, now that we know this, now we get to decide if we want to stay where we are or not, and what we're going to do about it. So maybe it's not all of our decisions that we got here, but now we have to decide, are we going to stay here, or are we going to do something different? Tracy, I'll let you close us out.
Oops. Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks everybody for being here. If you're ready to try a new way, now's the time. Our program offers one-to-one coaching. As you can see here today, we've got myself, Wendy, and Michelle as part of our coaching team, and access to amazing community, which Wendy mentioned before. I see Marcy on here. She's also part of that great community, and really appreciate some of these other coaches popping in to get to experience what we're sharing out today. And we have an industry leading mindset tools and coaching. Like Wendy shared about Atomic Habits, we have a great life book and resource books that come with our program that really do provide you with some really basic knowledge about nutrition and why people struggle with where they are, and how, because of the way things are structured in our environment right now, where you are today is not always your fault. We talked about environmental impacts of that, the people you're surrounded with, and then just the reality of access to really high quality foods is just a struggle for people. And society normalizes being unhealthy. And we're really working on providing a community where you can connect, where the norm is healthy living. And so then that becomes, choices are just easier because it becomes the default instead of having to choose the healthy choice repeatedly over and over again. And then we also have several nutrition plans to kind of meet people where they are, and get them to where they'd like to be. We do have some special savings right now through the end of March. Well, actually through March 28th. So if there's something in here that really connected with you and you'd like to hear more, please reach out to the person that invited you. And in general, we do hope that we do have a great Facebook community. We'd love to have you be a part of if you aren't already. The workbook that we put together, a lot of the exercises that Wendy went through today are in here. You can do this and kind of like have a moment of self-reflection. I think as women, we don't do this often enough, just spending time to be one with ourselves because we're so busy doing anything and everything for everybody else. I also think that that is a coping mechanism because it's hard to sit and be with just yourself for a while and kind of really do a deep dive into where you are and where you'd like to be. And it's easier just to be busy. So take some time, spend a quiet minute with yourself, really dive into what you'd like and where you'd like to be.
Awesome. Well, that's the end of what we had prepared, but I would love to hear any feedback. If you want to share something in the chat, something that maybe resonated with you, or if you want to come off mute and, share any comments, ask questions. We'd love to be able to spend a little bit of time to do that too, if anybody has anything they'd like to share. Mariah, I promise I didn't use you as the example to write that, but we could have all probably plugged our name in there at one point or another.
I do appreciate everybody engaging in the chat. sometimes you're not in a space where you can come off and be on video and do those things. You're at work or driving. And so appreciate everybody hopping in today. We will send the recording out to everybody, so you have this to go back and listen to, and maybe do the exercise like Wendy shared with ChatGPT to kind of get a little insight into who you are, how you're feeling now, but also an awakening of that person that you can become. You just have to believe that you can become that person.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. And we will, like Tracy said, we'll share the recording. Have a wonderful day and a beautiful weekend, and hopefully get some spring sunshine here very soon.
Good to see you, Wendy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Marcy. Hi, Lisa.
Thanks, everyone.